Well, welcome you all to today's edition of the class. My name is Fred. You can call me Target. I'm your tutor for the day. Good. I'll urge you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel and then the other social media handles. Please stay with us for all your lecture notes, your lecture materials, and exclusively one-on-one tuition and other tutorials. Thank you. Well, let's go straight to the room. Today we are going to talk about interpretation of financial statements. You should know everything about interpretation of financial statements, both for examination and for practice. So I will share this with you. So let's go straight. So we will have interpretation of financial statements. Good. So basically, when we talk about interpretation of financial statements, we mean that the financial statement that prepared, we have to provide meaning to that financial statement. The financial statement prepared by management of the various companies, the users have to be able to understand, and before they should understand this financial statement, it must be interpreted or explained in other terms. So basically, we are just going to provide meaning to the financial statement prepared. So be with me. Interpretation of financial statement means we are going to explain the financial statement and preferably to represent or to come out with the performance of the organization or the company for a relevant period in the question. So basically that is it. I'll explain to you why most students call it ratio analysis instead of the interpretation of financial statements. Now, there are so many ways, so many tools that we use to provide the interpretation or the meaning. So now let's go and see a few of them. I'll probably walk you through three common ones. The very first one on the list is our using ratio analysis. So ratio analysis. Good. Then you can also use what you call common size. Common size, the so-called vertical analysis, because it's straightforward. Vertical analysis. Vertical analysis. Good. Vertical analysis. Then lastly, you can also use the horizontal analysis. Horizontal analysis or the trend analysis. Good. Trend what? Analysis. Good. So now basically we will talk about them, but today's edition of the class centrally on the ratios. So let's start. Ratio simple means dividing number by number. Ratio of Ahmed's age to that of Kofi's age is Ahmed's age over Kofi's age, probably times 100. That's the meaning of ratio. But stay with us, you provide more meaning to it in the subsequent notes. Now let me start with the common size or the vertical analysis, then to the horizontal, and then lastly, I will now focus or dwell more on the ratios analysis. Good. Common size analysis or vertical analysis. With the common size analysis, here the interpretation will be, or the analysis will be based on a common angle. Look at it from a common angle. So all the elements in a financial statement will be expressed as a percentage of a common base or a common cycle or a common angle. So basically we need the financial statement, we need the income statement and the financial position or the balance sheet. So all the elements in the financial statement will be expressed as a percentage of a common base. So for profit and loss, the most common base that we know is the revenue, total revenue. Then for the financial position, that's the total assets. So be with me. So for instance, if you have a financial statement like probably, let's give it a try, the income statement. Income statement, you can have your sales revenue, probably 1,000 cedis. You can have your cost of sales, probably 200. So our gross profit is 800 cedis. 800 gross profits. Then operating costs. Our operating cost, let's just assume it's like 200, yes. So that would be 600. That's operating profits. That's operating profits. That's operating profits. Then let's add other income. Other income. Assuming other income is just 100 cedis. What do you get? 700. That's our profit before interest and tax. Good. Profit before interest and tax. Let me just end here. I know that you can do more. Now, when you are talking about common size or vertical, have you seen? It's vertical. So what do? We pick each of the item and divide it by a common base. For income statement, the common base is what? Sales. Always the common base will give you 100%. So if I should do the analysis here, but it's too small. So here I'll get 100%. Why 100%? Why 100%? 100% because it should be 1,000 over 1,000 times 100. Now, cost of sales, which is 200 divided by 1,000 times 100, that will probably give us what? 20%. This will probably give us 80%. This will probably still give us what? 20%. And this will probably give us 60%. And this will probably give us 10%. And this will probably give us 70%. You see, addition of this give us this and this of this give us this, and this of this give us this. So that's the common size analysis or the vertical size for each year. So year by year analysis. So assuming this is the 2017, do for 2018, and then you continue your comparison. I am done with the common size analysis. Thank you for being with me. Let me quickly talk about horizontal analysis also. Now, when you talk about horizontal analysis, as the name suggests, horizontal, so like a trend analysis. You're comparing the company's performance over time to obtain trend. You are comparing the company's performance over time. So you pick probably from 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. In that order, 4 years. It can be 5, it can be 6, depending on your interest. So that's the horizontal analysis. Good. Now that we know, let's go to the topic of the day, ratio analysis. So I'm going to explain the ratio analysis, and then we'll talk about its limits and its importance. So be with me for the next session. Good. So ratio analysis. Now we know that ratio analysis is just one tool that we use to analyze the financial statement of a company. Good. So we will start at that one. So ratio analysis. Ratio analysis. Now, when you talk about ratio analysis, what is the meaning and how do you use it to provide meaning to the financial statement prepared? So basically, when you talk about ratio analysis, we are dividing number by number in the financial statement prepared. Good. So that is it. There are so many of them. So let's look at some importance of ratio analysis. Importance of ratio analysis. So importance or uses of ratio analysis. So let me group them into one. Ratios help us to analyze the financial statement. Good, that's the first important. Help us to analyze the financial statement. Good. With the help of ratio, we can analyze the financial statement, whether the company is doing well or doing bad. Doing well or doing bad. Good. Then two, with the help of ratio, we can determine the profitability level of an organization. So to determine the profitability level of organization. Take notes, profitability level. Whether you're making analysis on the net profits, the gross profit margins to determine that. Good. Then we go to the third one. It also helps us to know the liquidity position of the organization. So the liquidity position of the organization. I hope you know the ratios that we use to analyze the liquidity position. They are one, current ratio, the quick, and then the cash ratio. Good. I'll go to my fourth point. In fact, ratio analysis help us to know the operating gearing of organization or the operating risks. So in all, we will call it business risks. Business risks help us to analyze the business risks of the entity. Good. Business risks, the ratio that we normally use to measure the business risks is the operating gearing. So thank you. Then I'll go to my fifth point, still uses or the importance of ratio analysis. Now the ratio analysis will help us to know the operational efficiency. Operational what? Efficiency, I like that term. Operational efficiency of the organization, how efficient the company utilizing its resources at its disposal to generate what? Enough sales revenue for its operations or for its activities. So that's operating efficiency. Good. Let me add one to it. To also know the financial risks. Wow. Financial risks of the organization. Financial risks. So we have the business risks and financial risks. Financial risk talks about the debt, risks associated with the debt. So debt to equity ratio, gearing, interest cover, all of them will help you to know your financial risks. Then we move on to 7. In fact, ratio will help us to compare performance. Wow. To compare what? Performance. To compare performance of what? Of companies, of course, of companies. So take note, irrespective of the size of companies, irrespective of what? The size, irrespective of the size. Whether you are 15 years, 30 years, once you can prepare financial statement for us, we pick it up and then prepare, we'll compare your performance for you. And finally, the 8th point, ratio analysis, we use it for decision making. So for decision making. Good. So that is it, decision making. Probably can also talk about for planning and forecasting. Wow, quite a point there. Can talk about planning. Wow, planning and what? Forecasting. Forecasting. So basically, these are the important or the uses of ratio analysis. Ratio analysis. Good. So for decision making, for planning and forecasting. Now, if I should talk a little about the decision making, like you are an investor, you have some cash with you, and you are planning or you are thinking of which of the companies should I invest in. You have like 3 portfolios before you. Should I invest in company A or company B? You have no idea about financial statement. You don't know what it is. So probably you will employ a consultant to provide detailed analysis of these 2 companies, and then the consultant will make a decision and tell you that based on the analysis that we have, it is prudent to invest in company A because of this. So for decision making. So, and also use it for internal decisions. If you realize that your ratios, your good, 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 good. There was short interaction. Welcome back. Now, for internal decision, we are talking about if you know that your gearing level is going high, take decision to reduce it or bring it to acceptable level for both all the stakeholders. So internal and external. So that's the decision making, internal decision making. Without the ratio analysis, probably we can find difficult to know whether your gearing level is going high. So that is it. Good. I hope you've enjoyed the importance or the uses of ratio analysis. Good. Now let's move on to the challenges that we have with ratio analysis. That's the highly examinable point. So now be with me for the limitations of ratio analysis. Highly examinable. Highly what? Examinable. Highly examinable. So let's go to the challenge. 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 So the first challenge will be, so let's see, limitations of ratio analysis. So limitations of ratio analysis. Good. Limitations of ratio analysis. Good, 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 good. Good. Now, the first limitation that we'll talk about it is that, in fact, ratios on their own, it is what useless and meaningless. So, it does not provide any meaning on their own unless you compare them. So unless, so it is meaningless unless it's meaningless on on its own unless compared to other ratios. Good. So ratios on their own is what? Meaningless unless you compare it to the other ratios. Good. So that is it. Then it means that if I calculate ratio, let's take rho C. You had rho C to be 30%. And so what? Can this tell the performance of the company? No, it can't. Unless Barbara told, okay, for 2017, the current year, the ROCE is 30. Last year, the ROCE is what? 27%. Okay, So in terms of ROCE, it has what? Decreased. So now I can tell the performance from the movement. So take note of this. Good, 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 good. Okay, so that is it. So that's the point one. Two, say historical data or information. In fact, the information that we use to provide the analysis are past information, not current or present information. So the analysis that we are doing will not help us to predict the future because we are using recorded information or recorded data, which might be different from the one prevailing today. So check the financial statement. As I'm not talking to you, the most recent financial statement might be 2019 financial statement, right? Good. So if I'm going to use 2019 financial statement to provide analysis or to predict what happened in 2020, it might be totally different. Look at the situation that we have now. We have now 2020 April. We are in coronavirus pandemic section. Meanwhile, companies that prepare companies' financial statement for 2019, there's no pandemic. So their performance can be good or might be good over there. That does not mean that in this 2022, they are doing well. So that's why we are saying that the ratio analysis only provide performance or information about what? The past, not the present, because the information that we use is about the past. Good. So that is it. Now, we talk about it does not takes into consideration the non-financial aspects of the organization, non-financial information. What are you doing? We are doing ratio analysis. We are interpreting financial statements. So you are only providing meaning to the financial aspect, leaving the non-financial aspect aside. Meanwhile, the two have to move together. The financial information always depend on the non-financial. They are not on its own. So the non-financial information such as the goodwill, number of customers, employees, quality products, the morale, motivation, all of these form part of non-financial. And these are not considered in the ratio analysis because the information that we are using are the financial statements. So take note, except for if we give you a well comprehensive financial statement and we also give you the non-financial information attached to it, then this limitation might not be valid here. So take note for us. Okay, so the fourth point will be changes in accounting policy. Changes in accounting policy. Changes in accounting policy will disturb the analysis or will interrupt the analysis. Assuming that in 2017, we are comparing performance for 2017 and 2016 financial year. And then the policies that you use for 2016, you've changed it or it has been changed or amended in 2017. So the bases are not the same for comparison. So take notes for us. Or it can also mean selection of different accounting policy. If you are doing for intercompany comparison, selection of what? Different accounting policy by what? By the company. Good. Now let's go to point number 5. Very interesting one. Point number 5. You can also think about yours as well with the help of the other point I've given you. With the help of the point I've given you, you can also think about your point too as well. Because always my class is interacting class. I ask You answer, I ask, you answer, so that at the end of the day, you will have a full picture of it. Good. Now let's move on. Now let's move on. Now let's move on. Good. So let's see the next point. The next point will be manipulation of financial statements. Wow. Manipulation of financial statements. Good. Now, the financial statement prepared, the management can manipulate it to suit their own preference. So, when you to provide analysis on such information, it might be misleading. Yes, it may be misleading because any decision that you're going to make from such analysis may be misleading. So it means that the financial statement prepared is not true. It has been misrepresented. It does not provide the economic reality or the actual stand of the entity. So any analysis that you come out from it, such analysis might not represent the economic reality. The performance that you are going to tell about the company might not also provide economic reality about what the company. Why? Because the information that you use is the wrong information. Analysis that you provided to you will be wrong analysis. So that's the picture that I want you to get. Good. That is it. So thank you for being with me. Now let's move on to the ratio itself. Good. The ratio itself, the analysis. Now you know the importance, the limitations. Now going to the ratio itself. You can have two types of the analysis. You can have the trend analysis. You can also have the intercompany comparison. Intercompany comparison. So take notes. Good. I will now move into detail of the ratios and then the key, using the key ratios. So now be with me, the key ratios. Now, I'm now going to talk about the key ratios. The key ratios. The key ratios. The key ratios. Good, 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 good. Key ratios. Now let me ask you a question. Basically, you have friends. Let's pick two of them, the one that you like most. Tell me, let me draw a pictorial sketch over here for you. Assuming this is your two friend. Yes. Now, have you seen these two friends? That's your friends. That's your two friends. My sketch is not nice though. Good. Assuming that I ask you, your friend A and your friend B, who is best? Can you tell me? Look at your two friends. No, I like that. Yes, you can't. You can't say that this friend is what? Totally bad. Not at all. This friend is 100% good. No, we don't have a good friend. So you can see, in terms of head, this friend is the best. Have a bigger head. This guy have a small head. In terms of arms, this guy have a shorter arm, but this guy have a longer arm. Or in terms of walking, this type of friend is good or better than the other. Or in terms of gossiping, one can help you to gossip well. Or in terms of other areas, he may be good at certain areas and bad too at certain areas. So that is it. Now, if you understand this picture, let me bring it to a company. You can tell us that one company is totally bad and totally good. No, you can't do that. Why? Because we don't have completely bad company and completely good company. So because of that, we have grouped the organization's activity into 5 perspectives for ratio analysis. So in terms of profitability, you may be good though. Yeah, profitability, don't go there. Always, their least profit is somebody's like maximum profits. So profitability, you may be good. But if care is not taken, you can sacrifice all your liquidity for profitability. So that is it. Liquidity. Do you have liquid asset there? Liquidity. Then let's go to efficiency. Efficiency. So efficiency, when you talk about efficiency, efficiency utilize of what? The resources you have at disposal. So the resources that you have, how are you utilizing it well? Some companies, they can manage the assets well. They can utilize the assets well. Other companies too, no. And then you can also talk about investments. Wow. Investments or portfolio management. Portfolio management. So take notes. Portfolio management. And finally, gearing or leverage. Gearing or leverage. So these are the 5 key areas of organization that we are going to consider, and we have the 5 key ratios. So now let's talk about them, the key ratios. Now be with me. We've now started the ratio. This is the ratio. We have now started what? The ratio. So be with me. We have now started the ratio. So let me start with the profitability ratio. We call it profitability or operating performance ratios. Operating what? Performance. Good. Operating performance. Operating performance. Good. Operating performance. Operating performance. Good. Now, this ratio analyzes the company's ability to generate enough returns, enough earnings, enough profits for its operations or for retention or to distribute as what? Profit. Sorry, to use as what? Dividend. Now, the profit that you've earned, part of it will be retained for future use or for future utilization, or part of it will be distributed to the owners by way of what? Dividend. So can you be able to generate enough profit? 1, to be retained. 2, to distribute as what? As dividend to the owners. That's the profitability. So how you manage to drive your sales revenue, manage your cost, cut down cost control policies you put in place to make sure that always your profit or return are moving high. And then you incur the least cost, the highest revenue, least cost, highest what? Profit or return. So that's the profitability ratios. I hope you get that. Good. It's a sign of performance. And most of these ratios, you can get it from the profit and loss. So now let's see the very first one that we can talk about it. 1, we can talk about the margins, and the 3 margins. We have the gross profits margin. Gross profits margin. Gross profits margin. So this ratio analyzes your ability to generate direct profit before your operating cost. Direct profit to go and face your operating cost. Yes. That one box on how you manage your direct cost or your cost of sales or your production cost. Some organizations are very effective in managing or controlling its productive cost or operation cost. So the gross profit will reveal that. Good. So the formula will be, in fact, anything margin. Don't even worry to even keep the formula in your head. Anything margin is that item over sales times 100. So gross profit margin will be gross profit over sales times 100. That's the gross profit margin. So take notes. Good. Then we go on to the second ratio under profitability. We also talk about the operating profit margin. Operating profit margin. Good. Operating profit margin. So as the name suggests, operating profit margin. It is operating profit, but here they are two types of operating profit. You have the operating profit and profit before interest and tax. All of them operating profit, but we like the profit before interest and tax. So take note, it will be the profit before interest and tax, which is the same as earnings before interest and tax. They are the same basically. So take note for me, earnings before interest and tax. So that is it. All divided by sales, because margin times what? 100. Sales revenue. So that's the margin. Good. So take notes. Now let's move on to the next one on the list. So net profit margin. Net profit margin. Basically, the net profit margin will be the profit after tax over sales times 100, or basically the net profit. There are three profits in accounting. Basically, they mean the same. Your net profit is the same as your profit after tax, the same as your profit for the year. So profit for the year. So take note for me. So these three series of profits, they are basically the same. So net profit margin will be profit after tax, anti-parts, divided by sales times 100. That's the net profit margin. Good. So that is it. Have you seen that we have margin? The same way we can also have markup. Oh yes, gross profit markup, operating profit markup, net profit markup. In fact, margin means it's over sales times 100. Then markup will be over cost. So if I should probably turn it around to have gross profit markup. Okay, so then basically it should be the gross profit over cost of sales times 100. Good. So basically take notes. But I don't want to worry you or disturb your mind. Let's go straight to the key ones. Key. And line where is what? Key ratio. Not every ratio is key. Yes. Some of them are not key. So we are looking at the key ones. So take notes for me. Good. So now let me go to the fourth profitability ratio. Good. I'll talk about ROCE, return on capital employed. Return on capital employed. Return on capital employed. So basically, then if we want to play a smart game here, return on capital employed should be the return, right? On capital that you have employed. Good, on capital employed. Good, times 100. Capital that you've employed times 100 times 100. So take note for me. Return on capital employed. In fact, there are so many types of return and so many types of capital employed. We are going to look at two, only two. We are going to look at for now. So it means that there will be two types of row C. So take note, there will be two types of row C. So that is it. Now, your return should correspond with the capital, and your capital too should correspond with the returned. So let's see. Now, if I should break it down, then if my capital employed, everyone knows that capital employed is the equity plus your long-term liabilities or long-term debts. That's the capital that you have employed in your business. So if I go by that, then I have to now change the formula slightly to be, now the return will be the profit before interest and tax all over the capital employed. That's equity plus debt. The debt is the non-current liability times 100. Good. Times what? 100. So take note for me. Take note. Why? Because profit before interest and tax, it is the profit available to pay interest and tax, and the remaining one will be for the equity holders. So pick the profit which is available for equity and debt holders. So now the profit which is available for both equity and debt holders is the profit before interest. Interest is for the debt, then after the tax too is for the equity. So that is it basically. So take notes for me and you'll be fine. Now good. So that is the formula. Now let me move on to the next type of the ROCE. In fact, we call it return on equity. That's a ROI. Yes, it's the second type of ROCE. That one, the formula will be profit after tax or divided by the equity times what? 100. Now, this profit after tax is only for equity holders. So that's why we are defined by equity. It is not for both equity and debt holders. No, because we've taken the interest out already to get a profit after tax. So take notes. So that is it. Good, 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 good. So I am done with the profitability ratios for now. So for the profitability ratio, the key ones, they are your margins and then your returns. You are done. Good. Now, can we move on to the next important ratio? Liquidity. So welcome to liquidity ratios. So liquidity ratios. So be with me and you will be fine. Liquidity ratios. So liquidity or short-term solvency. Short-term. Wow. Solvency ratios. Good. Short-term or liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio or short-term solvency. Now, liquid means cash, yes, or item that can be converted into cash that changes in value. Or to take a shorter time, not longer. So that's the liquidity. So now the liquidity ratio or short-term solvency ratio analyzes or measures the organization's ability to generate enough cash resources or current assets to combat its current liability. So basically, it measures the credit worthiness of the organization, the ability of the organization to generate enough assets to pay off its what? Present obligations or the current liabilities as and when they fall due. So when your current liabilities become payable, can you pay them? or even when your long-term debt runs into short-term or become payable, at that moment, can you pay it? Can you pay it at that moment? That is the liquidity position. So basically, how you can generate liquid to combat your what? Your current liability. So, and if you can do that, it means that you are solvent company. Short term, we like the short term because today, not 2 years, because in a long run, things can change. If I should give you 5 years, 5 years, you can work well. If I should give like 2 years, but what if I give you 3 months? Can you pay your present or your present liabilities within 2 months? That's the liquidity position. So here, I advise most companies, usually banks, to make sure that they have enough liquid assets so that their liabilities may be what? Settled as and when they become due, the short-term liabilities. So take note. So basically, that's a liquidity position. Now the ratios that fall under them, they are one current ratio. So current ratio is the first one that we will talk about it. Current ratio. Good. So current ratio. Now be with me. Current ratio will measure your current status. So it's your current positive figure divided by your current negative figure. Positive is the current asset. So what will be the current assets or short-term assets, all divided by your current liabilities. Is to what? 1, because it's a relative measure. How many times can your current asset pay off one of your current liability? One of them is to 1. Don't forget to bring it in exams. Yes. So that is it. So that's the current asset. It answer the question, can your current asset pay off your current liability? Current asset will tell, oh yes. How many times? So many times. Or we can't. We can even pay 0.5 times. So take note for me. And here some of the industrial averages or the benchmark have been assigned for it. The benchmark will be 1.5 up to 2.5. And here, the higher the better, the reverse is true. The higher the better, the reverse is true. Just that the too much of it too is not good. The too much of it means that you have a lot of current assets. And if you are current liabilities, why should you have that? Why should you have your investment in current assets? Why should you have more investment in current assets? Can't you probably find a way of managing them to have efficient or to have enough, or so that the excess funds or the excess current assets that you don't need, why can't you place them in short-term investments and get return on them? So take note of us. I'm done with the current ratio. Basically, the liquidity ratio, there are not many. I'll talk about 3 of them. There are not many. I'll talk about 3 of them here. We have quick or acid test ratio. Wow, quick ratio or acid test ratio. What is about this? Quick. Here, how fast? How fast can you pay your current liability, or how quick can you pay your current liabilities? That's all with your available current asset. So basically, if there's any item that will slow you down or probably will prevent you to pay your current liabilities quickly or fastly, what do? Take them off. Now be with me. What's the composition of the current asset? They're made up of what? Your inventory, your receivable, and your cash. And what? Cash equivalent. Good. These are the 3 current assets. So tell me, which of these 3 will slow you down for paying off your current liability whenever they fall due. So basically, the good answer is the inventory. Why? Because when your suppliers on your neck taking their money, you can't tell them that they should wait for you to go and sell your goods before you go and pay them. Probably they'll get another few. So take notes. So the formula will be your current assets less your inventory, all divided by current liability. So is to 1. So take notes. So is to 1. So that is it. Good. How fast can you pay your current liability as and when they fall due? So take note for me. How fast can you pay your current liability as and when they fall due? So basically, that is it. Now let me explain why we use acid. Why we use the word acid, but not any other. Why can't we use water? No, water is very slow. Water is very slow. In fact, acid is the most fastest reaction. Oh yes, to react fast. So normally in a criminal zone, probably international CID or to FBI and co, CTU. Now when they have an international criminal or terrorist, maybe from ISIS or Al Qaeda or Boko Haram and co. Now, if they don't want to probably speak out or truth or provide some evidence of their operations, now this intelligent team also find much better way to extract all the truth fast or quickly. How they do? They'll probably dip a little stick in acid and dip it on the hair. Just a dip, just a tip, small. Now, instantly, all the truth in that person from the head to the toe, everything will come automatically to extract it. So it's very fast. So that's why we like it. And we call it what? Acid. So how fast can you pay your what? Your current liabilities. So that is it. Okay. Even some organizations don't even consider receivable in some time. Now let's see what will happen. Now let's go to cash ratio. Cash what? Ratio. Banks usually like this, your cash ratio. Cash ratio. Banks usually like this, cash ratio. Cash ratio. Cash ratio. Now, what is cash ratio? This ratio measures the number of times your physical cash or your cash and cash equivalent or your liquid asset can pay off your current liabilities. So this one is the most fastest. If acid is fast, if this one is quick, this one is the quickest. Oh yes, because we are not going to include receivable. Because when a customer is at the bank taking his money, his deposits, you can't tell him that you should wait for you to go and then probably chase for your customers to bring their money or the loans they've taken before you can pay the customer. No, it won't happen. So when it comes, the cash that you have at the time that the customer enters the bank, that's the cash that you're going to use to probably save, or unless probably you ask for more. Good. So it will be, the formula will be cash and cash equivalent, all divided by your current liabilities. And don't forget, is to 1. So take notes. So cash and cash equivalents over your current liabilities is to 1. So this is the liquidity ratios. So all of them, the higher the better, the reverse is true. If you have too much, if your cash ratio is too high, it is no good, especially non-financial institution. like a trading company, like a manufacturing company, your cash that you have is more plenty than what you need. Why should you waste resources like safe protection to protect cash in abundance? No. What do? Invest the surplus cash into what? Return yield investment, so that you can get return on them, than to rather protect it. Yes, you can even expose yourself to a theft in the organization. So take note, all the liquidity ratios, the higher the better. The reverse is true. Good. Don't forget to be with us when we are doing the interpretation or the practice level. We are the knowledge level. So grab this one and to the subsequent one. Thank you. Now let's move on to the next ratio. That is the operational efficiency. Efficiency or activity ratio. Efficiency or activity ratio. So efficiency or activity ratio. Activity ratios. Now, basically, this ratio talks about two items: how efficient or how efficiently you are utilizing your assets to generate what? Enough cash or what? Sales for your operation. So two things: how you are utilizing your assets or other resources that you have within your organization to what? To generate two items. To generate one, cash. Two, sales revenue. That's all. That's the two reasons why you should use your assets. Okay, yes, use your asset to generate cash. And then what? Sales for your organization. So cash talks about liquidity, sales talks about profitability. So basically, all the efficiency ratios or the liquidity ratios can be shared to liquidity and then profitability. All the efficiency or the activity ratios can be shared among what? Liquidity or profitability. So I'll do it for you. Good. Now let's start. So don't forget that we said efficiency just measures how best you are using your assets to generate what? Enough cash, and sales for your operations. That's all. The first ratio on the list will be inventory turnover. Inventory turnover. Good. Inventory turnover. Inventory turnover. Now, this ratio analyze how you turn over your inventory, if I should use direct meaning how you turn over your inventory, like how you replenish your stocks, how you place your stock, how long does it take you to sell your goods after purchases. So the period that will take you to sell your goods after you get them to your shop, does it take you longer period or a shorter period for you to sell your goods? So that's the inventory turnover. Good. You can measure this ratio in two ways. We have it in period. In period, the formula will be average inventory all over cost of sales times 365, or times the period, 365 days. Now the period can be in days, it can be in days, or it can be in 12 months, it can be in 52 weeks, and many more. So take note for us. That's the period. Good. But the most common one is in days. So 365 days. But please, some of the companies or the organization, in realities, they don't have 365 days, yes. in reality, no organization works for 365 days. There will sometimes break down holidays, weekends, and some breakdown, temporal breakdown like coronavirus period. So take note. So in exams, sometimes the examiner will quote the company's days for you. For instance, assume 360 days, meaning you have to use 360 days. Don't tell the examiner that you know that there's 365 days. No, please abide by the rules in the exams. You can also have it good. Before that, let me explain the average inventory. Very important. Average inventory is equal to the open inventory plus the closing inventory, all divided by 2. So that is the average inventory. Open inventory plus the closing inventory divided by 2. Good news. So that is it. Good. Now, yeah, there's a danger here, or there's a caution here. In situations where you cannot, or you were not given the open inventory, please do not assume that it is 0, because if you assume that the open inventory is 0, then preferably you are just dividing the closing inventory by 2. No, don't do that. So if the open inventory is not given to you, please do not assume that this is what? 0. But instead, pick the closing inventory, so that in that case, the average inventory will be equal to just the closing inventory. No, divided by what? 2. So take note for us. The closing inventory not given. And sometimes too, if for, let's say you are calculating for 2017 and 2016, you can realize that in a current year, you can find average. Now be with me. This one is very important for the interpretation session. Now, when you are doing for 20s, you are calculating ratios for 2017 and 2016. For 2017, yes, you can get average because there will be open inventory. Open inventory will be the closing from 2016, and then the closing for 2017 is the one given to you in the closing, the one given to you in the 2017 statement. But here, average, you can't determine the average, so no average. So probably you may pick the closing inventory because no what? Average. Now, when you pick closing inventory here, and now here you are using average, you realize that the bases are not the same, right? So automatically, even though you can calculate average for 2017, don't use average for 2017. Use the closing inventory. Use what? The closing inventory, so that at least the bases will be the same. Closing here. But if you can get the average here, and go ahead and do it. It's very important. So take notes for me. Good. I'm done. We also have it in times, the inventory turnover. We also have it what? In times. The answer is in times. In fact, in time, don't even worry yourself. Just coin the formula upside down. Coin it upside down. Turn it. That's all. So it will be cost of sales all over average inventory. Average inventory. Average inventory. Here we don't multiply by anything. No, the answer is in times. Here, the lower the better. The reverse is true. Take note, the lower the better. And here, the higher the better. So let me give an example. Company A and company B. The inventory days will probably be something like this. Inventory days for company A is, let's say, 18 days. And company B is 25 days. You can see that this guy is doing well because when you go and buy your goods, it will take what? 18 days. Just 18 days as compared to what? 25 days for B. Meaning this one will take longer. So the lower, the better. The reverse is true. But if it's not days, and we measure it in times, and maybe here is, let's say, 30 times. Let's make it like 45 times, and here is 30 times. So it's in times. Now with this, realize that this guy have it. It means that how many times can you go to the market? Can you go and buy goods within the year? So within the year, this guy can go and buy 45 times. That's good. It's not really good. Far better than the 30 times. So on average, the more you go to the market, the more profit, because both two companies are in the same industry. So their profit margins are probably the same. So take notes. So that is it. I'm done. Good. Now the benchmark can be 30 days for the period. The benchmark be 30 days. Benchmark of 30 days. So take note for me. 30 days. The second one, efficiency or activity ratio. The second on the list, we are going to talk about receivable collection period. So receivable collection period. Receivable collection period. Now be with me. With the receivable collection period, it talks about how long will it take you to take your money from your customer, or receive your money, or collect your money from your customer. From the day one that you dispatch the goods to the customer, how long will it take you to receive your cash or your money back? That's the receivable collection period. The shorter the period, the better it is. So take note, or the lower the period, the higher the better. So take note for us. Okay, the shorter the days, the better it is. So take note for us. Then it will be average trade. Please, here you want trade receivable. Take note. Because we are talking about what? Customers. Not all receivable will come as a result of what? Customers. So that's it. Trade receivable, all divided by what result trade receivable? That's the credit sales, right? So credit sales. Year 2 times 365 days. That's the number of days that the company have in a year. The number of days that the company have in a year. So take notes for me. Good. Now, let me the rule for average also applies here. Anywhere you see average in ratio, the rule that we saw under the inventory also applies. So take note for me. Now, if credit sales is not given in the question, please use the total sales. Total what? Sales. If the credit sales is not given in the question. So that is it. Good. I am done with the receivable. Here too, the benchmark is preferably 30 days. Here too, the benchmark is 30 days. So ideally, if it's sell to your customers, it should take you 30 days to go for your money. Yes. If it takes more than that, it might mean that you have a weak or poor control system, credit control system, or exceptional item. Exceptional item. Yes, exceptional item. Hear me, it's one of the limitations of the ratio. I hope that we talked about 5 limitations. Now, if I should chip in a 6th one, yes, it will be what? Unique or exceptional item, or changes in company's operations. Have you seen? Probably if you do investment in 2017 and 2016, there's no investment. It means that comparing this information, one will cheat the other. Oh yes, because in 2017, ideally your investment will take away all your profit, because the cost that you incur that investment will sweep away all what? Your profits. But for 2016, because there's no investment, your profit will be stable. So that is exceptional item that happen only in a particular year, not all the years, or items that happen for only one company in the industry. Now, coronavirus is not an exceptional item, it's for everybody. All the industries are facing the challenge. So that is it. Take notes of that. So now we go to the third one. We talk about payable. Payable. Now the receivable, you can also call it debtors. So debtors collection period or debtors days. Payable payment period or creditors payment period. So that is it. Now this one too talks about how long does it take you, the organization, to pay for your supplies as and when they fall due. How long? So if you buy since day one that you acquire the goods, how long will it take you for it to pay your bills, your goods, or pay for the items supplied to you? So basically, it will be average trade payable all divided by your credit purchases. Credit what? Purchases. Now take note, credit purchases times 365 as usual, the period, days. Now, when credit purchase is not given in a question, please use total purchases. Total what? Purchases. What if total purchase is not there? Wow, that's good news. Then you have to use what? Cost of sales. Cost of what? Sales. But please be careful. If total purchases might be there and you are using cost of sales, so be careful. And then the credit purchase too. The average trade payables also obey the average rule that we saw under the average inventory. So thank you. And that is it. Yeah, the benchmark should be 45 days. The benchmark is 45 days. 45 days. The benchmark over here is 45 days. Here, the lower, the better. Sorry? No. Here, the longer the day, the better it is. Yes, because it's a liability. These two go in for the lower or the shorter. So let's say shorter, the better. And the opposite is true. This one is an asset. These two are the assets. And this is a liability. So the longer should be the better. So that is it. So here too, the longer, the better. The longer, the better. The reverse is true because ideally everybody wants to enjoy some sort of credit. So when you buy the goods from the customers, or when you buy the goods from the supplier, should take you, they should give you ideally longer time for you to pay. Okay, so that's it. Just that too much of it is not good though. If you take a longer time for you to pay your goods, you get to a time that the supplier will boycott you, will not supply to you again. Yes, because you don't pay them on time. Yes, you delay in payment. So take note. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so let's move on to the next important ratio under the efficiency. Under the efficiency. Now be with me. I'm still under the efficiency. The ratio number 4, that's the CCC. In fact, it has so many names. I'll write all of them for you and clean it fast. CCC. So cash conversion cycle. Or simple cash cycle, or I will call it net operating cycle. Net what? Operating cycle, or wow, cash operating cycle. Operating cycle, or oh yes, it has so many names. So pick the best one that you want. Working capital cycle. Working capital cycle. Wow. It's working capital because it talks about the working capital items. So take notes. So all these mean the same. Your cash conversion cycle, that's a CCC, cash cycle, net operating cycle, cash operating cycle, and basically the working capital cycle. So take note, they mean the same thing. Now let's see, they are very important because it provides a useful analysis or useful meaning. Now, this measures how long you can recoup your investment in inventory to cash from sales points, costs, and other expenses. So how you can recoup your investment, how long, how many days will it take you to recoup your investment in inventory? Your investment in inventory. How can you convert it into cash? How can you convert your investment in inventory to cash? How will the entity what? How the entity converts, convert what? Its investment in what? In inventory. Investment in inventory to what? To cash. Wow. Cash conversion cycle. So take note. To cash. Okay, good. From where? How are you going to do it? From point of sales? Yes. From point of purchases to point of sales, and finally to point of what? Receiving. So that's it. So from buying of the goods or the point of purchases, from purchases through sale, and then to the receipt of the money. Now let's look at the formula or how you can calculate it, the cash operating cycle. Good. The cash operating cycle will be your inventory days plus your receivable days. I think, let me write it on the other side. So it will be inventory days plus your receivable days plus your payable days. So take notes. The lower, the better. The reverse is true. Ideally, it should take you a shorter time before or a shorter time to convert your investment in inventory to that of cash. So that is it. If you go and buy your goods, how long will it take you to get your cash or to get your investment back? If your return on the investment is, let's say, $1,000 US. So how long will it take you to recoup your return on these goods, which is $1,000? Okay. So when I buy the goods, how long will it take me to sell? Okay, I'll take that into consideration. And then when I sell to, how long will the customers come and pay me? And me myself too, how long will it take me to go remit back the money to the supplier? So that the net of these days will give me how long I can now take my investment, so that I use for planning purpose. Good. Now basically, let me give you some few examples there for you to check for me. So now this is our company. Now, these are the three companies. The name of the first company is 2. Second company is B. And the last one, man. Yes, to be man. Good. These are the three companies. These are what the three companies. So take note for this example. Let's assume that your inventory days, receivable and payable, and your net inventory days here is 25, and here is 10 days, making 35, and here is 40 days. So, and this one, so the net will be -5 days. Wow. B. So B2 is inventory days is 20 days. And receivable days is 35 days. Making what? 55. Payable days is 55 days. Wow. So its net operating cycle is 0. Good. The net operating cycle. Now be with me. I'm doing the example with you. So take notes. Now, when it comes to man, it's not easy. Man's own have 15 days for inventory days, and man have a receivable days of also 20 days. Good. I want to choose the days correctly. 20 days. So making what? 35 days. Making 35 days. Meanwhile, the suppliers have given man only 20 days to pay. Good. So what do you think will happen? So the net operating cycle will be what? 15 days. Now, let me test you small. You can pause the video and answer this question for me now. The answer that I want is this. Which of these company is doing well? Looking at the inventory, receivable, payable, looking at the net operating cycle, which of them is doing well? So kindly pause it and then tell me the answer. Yes. Thank you if you have done that. Now, in fact, 2 is doing well, followed by B, and man is the worst performing here. Why? Because we said that with the net, the lower or the shorter the day, the better it is. So 1505, which of them is the shortest? So this guy, that's the first way to determine it. Then second, I am going to provide a meaning to this. Now let's take 2 and analyze 2. So for 2, when to buy the goods, it will take 2 inventory days is what? 25. So meaning it will take 25 days before 2 will sell. Okay, 25 days. And after still, his customers or the receivable, 2 will take another 10 days, right? Another 10 days. So in all, it will be what? 35 what? Days. So it means that it will take 35 days before 2 can receive the money. 35 days. So 2 will take 35 days, meaning 25 days to sell, 10 days to chase the customer for the money, in all to take him 35 days. Wow, that's good. Now let's see. Meanwhile, the supplier also have given him how many days? 40 days. 40 days. So the good news is that 2 will get the money if we are counting exactly 30 days, exactly 35 days, 2 will get the money somewhere here, 35 days,
And 5 days later, the supplier will come for the money. So it means that to hold the supplier's money for how many days? How many days? 5 strong days. And he can invest it in overnight replacement or short-term deposit to yield interest before the customer comes for the money. And his return or his investment is intact. He gets his investment before going to pay the principal amount. So that makes to the best company over here. In fact, when happened this way, we said that that company is trading on the supplier's money. Yes, you are trading on the supplier's money because the supplier's money plus your profit or your returns on the investment will be with you for 5 solid days before the supplier come and take his portion from it. So that's a good news for you. Good. So that is it. Now let's see. B2, it takes him 20 days for him to sell the goods and 35 days for him to what? Receive the money, or to take 55 days for him to what? Take him 55 days for him to get the money or receive the money from the goods sold. Meanwhile, the suppliers too have also given him how many days? 55 days. Wow, 55 days. So it means that the day that the B received the money, that's the same day the suppliers are coming for it. So, yes. So that's the same day. So it will take you 0 days to turn over. 0 days. The same day that the suppliers will come for the money. That's the same day you make the money available. Now let's take Man. Man is the worst performing here among these 3 companies. Why? Though it takes Man 15 days to sell the goods. See, this one 20 days, this one 25, but in the inventory turnover, this one is doing all right. Okay. In fact, he also did well in the receivable than this. And here too, good. Now let's see something. It will take Man 15 days to sell the goods, plus 20 days to receive the money. So in all, still 35 days as what? The same as what? The same as 2. So 35 days, the same as 2, because 15 plus 20, good. So that's the 35 days. Now, meanwhile, the suppliers have given you how many days? The suppliers have given you 15 days. Wow. Sorry, suppliers have given you 20 days. Ish. Meanwhile, you are going to receive the money in how many days? 35. So how on earth will you get the supplier's money to pay in 20 days? So this is the clear picture of Man's position. Man. The Man's position will be like this. Let me probably bring it on top small. When you sell the goods 0 days, it will take you 20 days. Supplier comes for his money. Payment. Go and make payment at this day. Good. Go and pay the money. Go and pay. Then, after 35 days, that's 15 days more, you now receive the money. Good. So it means that it will take you 15 days before you can receive your investment. Yes. Meanwhile, you've already paid your supplier a long time ago, and 15 days more. You're waiting for 15 days. So it means that in between the time from here to here, you have to finance this payment by what? Short-term payment method like overdraft. Go in for overdraft. Come and pay the supplier. Yes. And then after 15 days, you receive the money. Go and settle your overdraft and then take your investment. So that makes Man the worst performing here, because it will take him 15 days before he can recoup his investment in inventory. But this man, it takes him 0 day that day now. But this man will receive his money before the suppliers will come and take his money. So that is it. Good news, that's the net operating cycle or the cash conversion cycle, the CC. So I am done. Now let's move on. Good. So now the next ratio that I will talk about, it will be the turnover. So net asset turnover. Net what? Asset turnover. Good. So the net asset turnover probably will talk about how you utilize your assets or your net asset at your disposal to generate enough turnover, enough sales for your organization. So that is it. It just measured how efficient an organization is, how you utilize your resources that you have at your disposal. Yes. And here, the higher the better. If it is high, it means that the organization is being efficient. And what can cause that? Probably routine maintenance. And then regular replacement of damaged assets or one asset, so that always your assets are giving you the maximum return, or it's giving you the maximum yield. So take note. So the formula will be sales revenue, your sales revenue divided by your net assets. Net assets. We don't multiply by anything. The answer is what? It's in times. So that is it. The higher, the better. The reverse is true. Thank you. If it is too high, it means that you are utilizing your assets well, and it may be due to what? Regular routine maintenance of your assets. So take note. Then I'll go on. In fact, we have so many versions of the net asset. You can have non-current asset turnover. Non-current asset turnover. That one too to be sales over non-current assets. That's it. You can also have total assets. Total asset turnover. You can, that one will be sales revenue over your total asset. That's all. So take note for me so that I can move on to the next one. So the sixth one that probably I'll talk about it is operating expenses to sales ratio. Operating expenses to sales ratio. So that is it. So your operating expenses to sales ratio. So basically, to talk about your operating expenses divided by sales times 100. Your operating expenses. So operating expenses, that's the operating cost. The operating expenses over your sales times 100. So take note for me. Good. Basically, I am done with the efficiency ratio. Efficiency ratio. Now, we said that efficiency talks about how you utilize your resources well to generate enough cash and then sales. So this is the cash aspect. Up to here, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. All of this, you can see them under liquidity. So 1, 2, 3, 4 can also be part of liquidity because it talks about how you generate cash and it's under efficiency. Good. And then we also talks about sales. So these two will talk about the sales, how you generate cash and sales. So this is the sales aspect and this is the cash aspect. So eventually, all the ratios that form under the efficiency, we can share them. So the first 4 will go to liquidity, and then the last 2 will go to where? Will go to profitability. So when you see that, don't be confused. That's the meaning. Good. Thank you for being with me. Now let's move on to the next set. The next set. Good, 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 good.
So welcome back. We are going to talk about our fourth ratio to the very fifth one, then we are done. The fourth ratio will be, the fourth key ratio will be the investment ratios. Investment ratio. Now, the investment ratio could probably use to analyze your growth status, how you are increasing in your investment. So that is it. Now we are going to talk about, in fact, there are many. So let's talk about one, earnings per share. Earnings per share. Value quote it as EPS. So take note. Earnings per share. Now with the earnings per share, it basically analyzes the share power in terms of earnings. If you should probably distribute all the earnings, or you should probably declare all the earnings or share it to the shareholders, each share, what is the unit or the power it will carry. It's a sign for future growth. So that's why it's investment ratio or growth status. So that is it. That's the earnings per share. Good. So earnings per share, basically to be earnings over what? Over shares, right? So earnings per share will be earnings over number of what? Shares. Now, if I want to be specific, there are so many types of earnings that we have. We have earnings before interest and tax, earnings after tax. In fact, earnings basically means profits, gross profit, operating profit, profit before interest and tax, profit after tax. So basically, we are talking about the profit after tax or the earnings after tax, all divided by the number of what? Ordinary shares, not dividend. Number of what? Ordinary shares. So that is it. So that is the earnings per share. To be the profit after tax over the number of ordinary shares. So take notes for me and you'll be fine. Good. Here too, the higher the better. The reverse is true. 2, let's go to dividend per share. I'm doing the per share people. So dividend per share. How do you find dividend per share? As usual, if earnings per share is earnings over number of shares, then basically dividend per share too should follow the same rule, right? Oh yes, indeed, you are right. It also follows the same rule. So it should be the total dividend. Total dividend. Yeah, I mean the total dividend declared or proposed. Sometimes the dividend being declared in bits, interim and final. What we want is the total dividend declared for that particular year. Please, we want the ordinary dividend. So let me even be specific. Because when I say total, probably someone will add ordinary and preference shares. No. Here we are talking about the ordinary. So total ordinary dividend, divided by the number of what? Ordinary shares. So take note. Good. So that is the formula for finding dividend per share. Thank you. Now let's move on to the third ratio on the list. Now the third ratio will be the yield. So let me start with the yield. The yield. We have earnings yield. Earnings what? Yield. So in fact, anything yield, don't even worry yourself. Anything yield is that item over market price per share.
anything yield is that item over market price per share. So AMA yield is AMA over market price of AMA. That's all. So is the earnings per share, which is this answer for this one, all divided by good, you had it right, the market price per share. Perfect. Yes, you are doing well. I like that. You are following. Be with me. At the end, you'll get a surprise for it. So that's the earnings yield. Earnings yield. Yes, it's the actual value of the shares, the actual value of the shares. We normally use this to analyze whether the stock price of the shares or whether the market price of the shares have been overvalued or undervalued. The earnings yield probably tell us that. So take notes. Good, 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 good. We are moving on to the fourth one. Oh, if we have earnings per share and dividend per share and we have earnings yield, then what will be the next one? Tell me. Good, you had it right. Dividend yield. Dividend yield. Now, if yield means anything yield is that item over over market price per share, then what will be dividend yield? It will also be dividend per share over what? Market price per share. So take note for me. That's the formula. Good, good, good. This one too also talks about the dividend power of the entity in relation to each unit of shares. So take note, dividend yield. Wow, the yield didn't come in. Yes, dividend yield. Now the fifth one will be, now let's go to the payout ratio, very important one. Dividend payout ratio. Payout ratio. Now here, it is a proportion of what? It just measures the proportion of your earnings that you've earned or obtained during the year being distributed as what? A dividend. So part of your earnings that you are distributing it as what? Dividend to the owners. That's a payout ratio. So the proportion out of the total profit after tax, what will be the percentage of that you are declaring it as what? Dividend. So as usual, it will be the dividend per share divided by earnings per share. This one is an alternative formula. It's an alternative formula. Or this is the main formula. It's equal to total dividend all divided by what? The profit after tax times 100. Because in fact, these two formulas basically they are the same. These two basically they are the same. Why? Because if I divide total dividend by number of shares, I'll get dividend per share. If I divide profit after tax by number of shares, I'll get earnings per share. So it's not done anything. This one is totality in per unit of shares. That's all. Good. And our answers are times 100. That's the payout ratio. Good. Now let's move on. Then I'll go to 6, dividend cover. Wow. Dividend cover. Anything cover is the number of times your ability or number of times you have control over that item. So the number of times the entity can cover for each dividend using the profit which is available to pay for dividend. So the number of times the entity will use what? Its profit available to pay dividend, to cover for the dividend. So that's the dividend cover. Good. So basically it will be, what's the profit available to pay for dividend? So that's the profit after tax. That's the profit that probably will depend on it to pay dividend. We might not pay the dividend, or the dividend might not come from the profit after tax, but it has an influence. This profit is the one available. We can depend on it to pay dividend. So divided by the total dividend. We don't multiply by anything. The answer is in times. So take note for me. The answer is in times. Now, have you seen payout ratio is the total dividend over the profit after tax. So the reverse, the inverse of the payout ratio is the dividend cover. So take note for me. Good. So that's the dividend cover. Now let me go to the last aspect of investment ratio. So investment ratio, the last one that I'll give you, that does not mean that that's all. No, they are more than what I have here. But these are the key ones. Don't forget that they will be what? The key ratios. So not all ratios are what key. So take note. Even what I've given you, we will still summarize it and still strike some out and take the key ones again. Now the last one that I'll give you is the PE ratio. Wow. Price earnings, like this, P/E. So PE ratio, not physical education ratio, PE, physical education, no, not at all. Is what? Price earning ratio. Thank you. Price earnings ratio. Now with this, it's just the inverse of the earnings yield. It's the inverse of the earnings yield. When you turn the formula for earnings yields upside down, you get the PE ratio. So that becomes market price of share, all divided by the earnings per share. Usually you can multiply by 100 if you want that. If you want to express it in percentage, multiply by 100. Good. So basically, these are these are the sum of the key words investment ratios. So take note that when your examiner required you to calculate investment ratio, any of these can be of use to you. So take notes for me. Yes. Now, let me move on to the last aspect of the component or the composition of the ratios. So the last aspect is about gearing. Gearing, that's the last ratio. That's the fifth one. Now look at how I'm going to probably break it down for you. So try as much as possible to get it for me. Good. So this is our last ratio, probably for the day, until we meet later for the calculation and then practice. So don't worry. Now, I'll call it gearing or leverage. Leverage or long-term stability. Wow. Stability or solvency. Solvency. So long-term solvency. For this ratio, analyze two things. Let me take probably a few moments to analyze gearing for you. Gearing simple means debt. Gearing simple means debt. Leverage also means debt. Long-term stability means, are you going to be stable? Are you going to be solvent? It basically mean the same. Thing. So take note. Now the capital that you need, assuming that the capital that I have to employ, that's the capital employed of every organization, can take two forms. Maybe I am into printing industry. Oh yes, printing industry. Probably I need 10,000 Ghana cedis to probably acquire new machines. 10,000 Ghana cedis. So yes, that's the Ghana dollar. That's the Ghana dollar for you. Good. So how am I going to finance this? How am I going to employ this? So some organization I will employ it by equity, by raising shares or taking money from the right owners or the ordinary owners. Or I can also use what? Debts. So now be with me. Some organizations say that, okay, me, I want 80% equity. So 80% of the 10,000, that would be 8,000, right? So the 8,000 out of the 10,000, I have to raise it by way of what? Equity. And then the 20%, that will be the 2,000 Ghana cedis as what? As debt. Maybe I can use bond. Good. Yes. Maybe I can use bond. I can use bond or long-term loan to do that. Someone will say, okay, no way. Me, I want 50-50. Oh, yes, let's split the risks. The owner should bear 50. The debt holder also should bear 50. So here will be 5,000 Ghana cedis should be raised through what? Debt, and 5,000 to another 5,000 should be raised through equity. Now be with me. We're going to make some analysis here. Then next one, then we said, okay, me, I don't like that. Oh yes, I don't like that. Yes, it's a risk averse type. I want 100% to be what? To be equity. So all the 10,000 have to come from equity. I want 0% as debt. So 0 Ghana cedis should be debt. I hope you are getting the picture. Then lastly, someone said, okay, me, I don't want equity. Me personally, I don't have money. So 0%. So here will be 0 Ghana cedis. All the money should be raised by way of what? Debt. That's all the 10,000 cedis. Yes, just that currently in the Ghana Companies Code, it conflicts with this. You cannot exist with that equity shares for a company. So take notes for us. Now look at this one. Look at this company. Good. This company does not have debt. The debt is 0 in its capital structure or the capital employed. The capital structure or the capital employed. So such a company is called ungeared. Ungeared. There's no debt. And debt, and debt or unleveraged, right? But the right term is what? Ungeared. So such a company is called ungeared. Company that is not having any debt. I mean long-term debt too. Yes, not current liability, no, not trade payables, the accruals and no. We are talking about long-term debt. So take note from me. So that company is what? Ungeared or unleveraged. Even if you have debt up to 1%, so this 20%, 50, 100%, even if the debt is 1%, so long as there's debt, in your capital structure, it is what? Geared. You are geared. So apart from this scenario, the rest are what? Geared. They are a geared company. Geared or leverage company. So basically, you've seen this, right? Yes. So if you are talking about gearing or leverage ratio, then you should talk about how you manage your debt, ability to properly manage your debt and to be stable and solvent, because if you don't manage your debt well, it will get to a point where you can't pay them. Always you are taking loan. And now when you start paying the interest, or when you start paying the loan, or when you start servicing the loan, the stability of your company is in doubt, or your solvency is in doubt. So that's the ratios that we are going to analyze that. You can be good in terms of profit, in terms of liquid, but if you don't know how to probably manage your debts well, your stability will always be in question. So take note for us. So that's the one aspect. So that is it. So thank you.
Now let me move on. So basically, gearing measures long-term risk-facing organization. In fact, let me make a clear distinction. When I talk about liquidity, we call it short-term solvency. Short-term solvency. Good. Now with this short-term solvency, just long-term solvency. So how you can survive short-termly, and here how you can survive in the long run. So take notes. So for me, but when they mention solvency, is for gearing. So take notes. Now, gearing measures risks, long-term risks facing organization, especially the financial risks. The financial risks facing organization, the risks associated with debt. So the risks, they are the default risks or the bankruptcy risks. Because when you start servicing your debt, if you have debt, and when you start servicing or paying off your debt, can you be stable in a long-term run or solvent long run? Yes, so that is it. So, or going concern, we normally use it to analyze the going concern of the organization. Good. So now let me define the gearing level for you, or gearing ratios. So this ratio analyze the ability to generate extremes. Wow. Streams of what? Cash flow. Because this one's long-term liquidity. Cash flow. Of cash flows. To pay, or you can use settle. To pay or settle or finance the principal so take notes, the hand is faster. The principal amount per part of your loans or your debts and the interest. Oh yes, debt and interest. And as well as being stable, as well as financing of your operations. So as being stable in the operational activity. Wow, can you finance your operational activity? So basically that's the gearing ratio, what it talks about. So good news. So that is it. Now that you know the gearing, now let's go to the ratios, some of them. There are many, but basically I'll give you 4. So take notes. First one I'll give you will be debt to equity ratio. Debt to what? Equity. Debt to equity ratio. This one measure the proportion of your debt to that of your equity. So percentage of your debt over your equity, or part of your equity represented by what? Debt. So the formula would be what? Debt
And please, anytime you mention debt, is the non-current liability. So take note, the long-term debt, long-term stability, all divided by your equity. So that debt to equity times 100. Now the benchmark for this is 100%. It should be more than 100% to know whether the company is highly geared or lowly geared. Now, when you calculate and you get 100%, the company, hold on, it means that good. Hold on. Good. Now, when you calculate, and probably you get 100%, what it tells is that debt is exactly 100% of the equity. So take note. It means that they are the 50-50 ratio. Now, below 100, from 0, in between 0% and then 100, it's lowly geared. So lowly geared. Oh yes, you have debt. Once you have debt, you are geared, but your gearing level is low. So that's the debt to equity. But if you have from 100 going, wow, then it is what? Highly geared. So take notes. If you get 100, it means that it's 50-50. Like the one I saw, 5,000 and 5,000. That's the 50-50 ratio. So take notes for me, and then you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Here, the higher, the lower, the better. The lower, the better. If your debt to equity is increasing, it means that you are increasing in risks, the financial risks, because you get to a time where you cannot be able to service your debt, and very soon it will amount to default risks, bankruptcy risks, and going concern risks will set in. So take note. Now the next one I'll talk about it will be, we call it gearing ratio, but I call it small gearing, big gearing, and small gearing ratio. But if you think it will confuse you, don't worry, there's a good news. Just call it debt to capital employed ratio. Debt towards capital employed. Debt to capital employed. Now, what do you think will be the formula? Debt to capital. So it should be debt over equity plus debt. That's the capital employed. Equity plus what? Debt times 100. So take notes how. In fact, the benchmark for that one too is 50%. So when you calculate and get less than 50%, it is lowly geared. As usual, here means highly geared. The gearing level is high for that organization. So take notes for me. Okay. So basically, that is it. In fact, these two guys talks about the same. They just measure the gearing level, how risky the organization is. So this is the gearing, the leverage session. Then I'll go to the stability session. So take note, stability session. Now the stability session, we are going to use interest cover. Interest cover. This is the second time of we seeing cover. The first one was the dividend cover. If you don't have earnings cover, okay. So interest cover. Now the interest cover, it measures your ability to be able to determine enough profit to cover for what your interest. That's the finance cost. So you pick the profit available to pay the interest, and we divide it by what? The interest itself. So to be profit before interest and tax, all divided by the interest expense, that's the finance cost. The answer is in times. Here, the higher the better. Yes, because if it is high, it means that you can pay off your interest so many times, and that's good news. Now, if it goes low, there's a danger there. There's a risk. Why is that there's a risk there? If your profit before interest and tax is low, it suggests that shareholders' dividend is at risk. Why? Because even your profit is not enough to pay off your expenses. So your interest expense, then few or no profit will be left for the owners for that particular year. So that's why shareholder dividend is at risk. So take note for us. And the last one, I'll probably give it to you to end today's class successfully, is the debt to asset ratio. Debt to what? Assets. Asset ratio. Now, have you seen that there are probably three possible ways, or three main ways you can buy assets for your organization? One, internally, you can use internal funds. Internal. Two, you can raise shares, that's equity, to buy assets. Three, you can use debt, go for loan, go and buy the asset that you want. That's all. Now, so when we single the debt out, so the proportion of your asset being financed by what? By debt. That's it. Proportion of the asset that you have being financed by debt. So it will be debt over what? Over your total assets times what? 100. So take note, your debt over total asset times 100. So total assets times 100. So that is it. Now you can also have debt to non-current asset ratio, debt over non-current assets. So take note, that is it. Basically, I'm done. Now these are the ratios that you need to know, the key ones, still the key ones. So the key ones that you need to know. Now let me do some analysis for you. In practice, you should know all of them. If you're a manager, you were a stock, you are a consultant, you should know all the available ratios, because you don't know the user who will ask you for a particular ratio, for a particular analysis, because all of them have a different picture or different way of analyzing it. Good. So take note for me, you should know all of them, but for examination purpose, now be with me. Let me do the important session to end today's edition of the class. Good. So that is it. Now the ratios that we have, in fact, there are many. There are many, and we have given you key. The key to is many. So we have to do something about it. So what do we have to do? Let's do something here. Let me start and write the key ratios. So key ratios here, and then the number that we know right now, and then what you need for examination purposes. What you need. So take note what you need. I'll probably walk you through and give you examples. And don't forget to get the notes and read further on the notes before we meet for the next session. Now the ratios, there are 5 in number. The key ones are 5. We have 5 ratios in number. Good. Now out of the 5, we have the profitability. We have the liquidity, efficiency, investments, then we have gearing. Now, in exams, when examiner leave it open for you to make an analysis, you don't need quite number, plenty of them, no, before you can make a probably reasonable analysis for us. The number that probably we know now or we have, not that we have all of them, no, there are other ones, the key. So let me still write key ones here. Key ratios, here two keys. So key ones under the profitability, I guess I gave 5 out. Liquidity, I gave 3. Efficiency, I gave 6. Investment, I gave 7. Gearing, I gave 4. So publicly put it together for me. So that's 2025, right? It's 2025 in total. So this and this will give us 10, 10, so 25. Now what you need, profitability, maximum. You need 2, 2, 2, and sometimes we may not be expecting to talk about all this. This might not be sometime needed except they ask you the investment, or except the user that asks you is an investor. Then you have to talk about it first. So probably I'll get 4, right? Good. But if I'm going to talk about all these 5 at a time, then I need 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, making 10. So maximum of 10 ratios, minimum of 7, up to 10 ratios. So minimum of 7 up to maximum of 10. If you go and calculate more than 2, 2, 2, 2 ratios, no, you are wasting your time in exams. So please take notes. If we write a good analysis, it's not the plenty of the ratios that will let you write a good analysis. Good. Then, probably if you are not going to talk about investment, you are not going to write about investment, here is there. Oh, then you can share efficiency, you can bring 3. Profitability, you can bring 3. Or still profitability, you maintain your 2, efficiency 4. You are done. That's all. So please note that though we've done a lot of ratios, not all of them you need for analysis. So take note. But for practice purposes, for work environment, you need all of them and even extra. And you also need other information, such as the number of customers, the company, the industrial averages, and then the other. So thank you for coming. Let me give you an illustration for this. Now let's go to our questions, our lecture notes. Please try and then read them. Try and then read them. Good. Try and then read them. Try and then read them. Try. Good, 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 good. So I'll probably walk you through some of the exam standard questions for you to know. Now, if I take this one is Obia. Now they have given us some selected ratios here. Selected ratios. Now let's count and see if it is more than 10. So let's start. So return on capital employed 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 maximum. Good. Now they say calculate the equivalent ratio. Now the examiner have not given it. The examiner have not given the calculation into our hands. See here, it's 12 because they've added investment to it, because our investment was 0. So 2 from investment, making the 12. So take note. We are talking about all the 5. We're talking about all the 5. Yes, so take notes.
And here it means that we have to provide solely to what the examiner provided, not what we know. So take note. So if you go and calculate more than what is provided there, the rest might not be marked for you, and time is not there in exams. Good. So I have the calculation here for you nicely. Now let's go to question 2, Fadama. Question 2, Fadama. I'm going to a requirement to probably show you what we need, and then you'll be fine. Now, this question just asks us to write a report. Didn't tell us the number of ratios we should calculate. Please, maximum should be 10 ratios for each year. 10 ratios for each year. So to be 20. So that's it. Now, when you go to Diamond and Shine, the examiner himself provided an industrial average as a benchmark. So that one, we have to calculate either comparable or equivalent ratios. So you can see, calculate what? Comparable ratios to 2 decimal places. Now, the ratios over here are 10 of them. So you're going to calculate 10 for each company. Maximum of what? 10. So be careful not wasting too many time for calculating, because students like this spend the whole time on it because it's easy. No, that should be fast and then no wasting time. Thank you for being with me. Once again, my name is Fred. You can call me Targets. And then don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channels and other social media handles. And then stay in touch for the next one. The subsequent lecture video, we will start with the interpretation, how to write the reports, and then how to conclude and then interpret on the financial performance of some selected companies in our industry. So probably we will start from a trading company, move on to financial institution, manufacturing, and then industry to industry for you to appreciate it well. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Remember to stay safe in this coronavirus period. Bye.